Well, my wife always says I'm a Pollyanna, and I always look on the good side of things, and I think all you need to do is look around this room, see what a good side of things we're on, that you've got so many people here on a Saturday that are interested in what's going on with their government and what public policy is. This is a wonderful event. Now I'm going to talk just briefly on the issue of there's a certain bridge that people have been talking about building, Windsor and Camp. And the funny thing is, in 2005, I came in and testified against a government bridge. And you know, whenever you're involved in politics at all, it's sort of like you're living in Groundhog Day, right? I mean, these things just come up again and again. And I know that in 2018 we're going to be talking about it again. But you know, vigilance is the price of liberty. So just to take a brief look at whether we actually needed a bridge. I mean, and you know, you don't really have to say, do we need a new grocery store, right? I mean, the market's going to make a new grocery store if you need one. Only if we say, oh, government is now going to tell us that we need one of these things, and even though the market wouldn't provide it, we're going to make it anyway. If I came up to you, and I don't know how many have run their own business, but if I came up to you and I said, well, gee, here's what your traffic volume is. In 1999, you have 12.4 million cars and trucks on your bridge. It's the Ambassador Bridge. And in 2011, you've got 7.25 million instead of the 12.4 million. And if I told you that year to date in 2012, your traffic is down almost 12%, you wouldn't say, gee, I think we need another bridge. If you were the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, you see that in 1999, traffic volume 9.61 million cars and trucks. In 2011, 3.6 million, only about a third of it. And year-to-date, traffic volume's down 9.39%. If we looked at the Blue Water Bridge, which I just came over the Blue Water actually, because I was out camping with my family in the area near Goderich, Ontario. They twin spanned the Blue Water Bridge in 1998, and then they built a new custom. You know, if you've ever driven over these things, you'll notice these bridges could be 200 lanes wide. Where's the backup? It's where the government is checking you to get into the country. That's where the backup is. So anyway, so we twin spanned the Blue Water in 1998. Their traffic peaked in 2000 with 5.98 million. It was down to 5.12 million in 2011, and year-to-date, traffic volumes are down 15.6% from 2011. So if I told you that, and you were running your own business, and I told you this is what your customer base was happening to your customer base, you wouldn't say, gee, I need to go out and make a new bridge. Where could this, not only that, but we've also got a proposal that's being put together, Continental Rail Gateway, to double stack trains so they can go through the train tunnel, which is going to take another bunch of truck traffic off of the existing 3 bridges. So we're going to build this new bridge. The government's going to build this new bridge, and what's going to happen? Well, if you just look at the environmental statement that was done in 2008 with your tax dollars, but anyway, by 2025, 16 to 20% of the truck traffic, peak truck traffic, is going to be diverted from the Blue Water Bridge to this new bridge. If you build a new bridge, what's going to happen? It's not like all of a sudden we're going to get all these new trucks and cars and everything going across the bridge. What's going to happen is the existing bridges are going to lose traffic. About 7% overall decline in the Blue Water traffic. The tunnel would lose another 20 to 26% of its total traffic, and the Ambassador Bridge would lose another 37 to 39% of its traffic, and probably 75% of its truck traffic. This is what the environmental statement said. I mean, they know that when they build this bridge, what it's primarily going to be doing is drawing traffic off the existing bridge. So you sort of wonder why the government would be building a bridge to draw traffic off of a private business that's been there since the 1920s and off existing government bridges. It just doesn't make sense. Now, would a new bridge create jobs? Well, of course it would create jobs. I mean, and this is what Bass Jott talked about, called the seen and the unseen. First of all, the private company wants to build a bridge. You might say, well, why in the world does the ambassador bridge want to build a new bridge? I mean, we just made this argument. It's because they have an 85-year-old bridge, and the maintenance cost of that is more expensive than if they built a new one. And so they said, hey, we understand we can save on maintenance costs. We want to build a new bridge. We're going to build it ourselves. It's going to be, we're not asking taxpayers to do anything because it makes economic sense for us to do this because of the difference in maintenance costs. But we're not going to let that happen. But if we notice that if the same jobs would have been created if the Ambassador Bridge were allowed to build its second bridge, we'd still see the same people building the bridge. And if the government builds the bridge, that will just pretty much wipe out the Ambassador Bridge. I mean, what it look like 30 years from now, and it's gonna be out of business. But we'll see these people working on this bridge. But we could build a second Zilwaukee Bridge and see people building the thing and say, oh my gosh, they created all these jobs. What you got to think about is these jobs are coming from where? They would have been producing something else, right? The steel and the labor and everything else would be producing something else, which you don't see not being created. You're only going to observe this one bridge being built. So you can, in fact, create jobs. But if we want to create jobs, we could just give everybody spoons and have them dig a canal from Lake Michigan down to California. Just want to create jobs. So what do we really need to do? Well, the legislature denied the bridge to be built. I happened to have the good fortune to testify in front of Senate Finance Committee. And the legislature decided not to do that. But then we have the use of Article 3, Section 5 of the state constitution. I don't know if you've been following this. But the idea is that the government, the state of Michigan, has now entered into an agreement with Ontario to build a Canadian bridge. The Canadians are going to own the bridge. Now, why in the world the Canadians want to do this is because the Canadians always wanted to own the bridge. They don't like the fact that they've got a private bridge. In fact, if you look at the Windsor Star in 2010, there was an article how the Canadians tried to buy the Ambassador Bridge. I mean, this is clearly the Canadians want to own the bridge. So, what is the amendment about? The amendment is to say, let the people decide. If we want to build a bridge, then let the people decide if a bridge is to be built. And if we were to do it right, we do what Scott had said. What we do is we would make it so that you'd have a contract, that you'd have a franchise, and this exactly the way we did it in the 1920s to get the private sector bridge. The state of the United States government and the Canadian government would get a franchise and say, hey, private sector, you want to build a bridge, you want to own the bridge, you can build a bridge. And then we'll see how many people want to build the bridge. The only reason that a private company is going to be involved in building the bridge is that we're going to pay them to build the bridge, or that somebody's going to pay them and say, hey, we're going to guarantee you. Any of these things are not, this isn't a privately owned bridge. This is just contracting with somebody to build the bridge. In the same way that, the state police building was built by a private contractor, right? But it's owned by the government. So I guess what I'm asking that you do is that you consider voting for this amendment that would ensure that if the government is going to be out there, your government is going to be out there making agreements with foreign governments about spending $4 billion to build a bridge, that you guys should have a say in it. So with that, thank you very much.